Hello BookTube, hello friends, welcome to Lizzie Faye Loves Books. I'm Elizabeth, and it is Sunday afternoon, May 19th. I'm a little past the middle of the month, but I wanted to give you a mid-month check-in. I announced at the beginning of the month that I was going to be participating in Middle Grade May, which I have done for the last several years, and also a challenge that I created a few years ago, just kind of for myself, but Elizabeth Tyree does it with me, and that is hashtag book a day in May. And because I ended up having some book club books to read and other things that were not middle grade books, my book a day has slowed down a little bit. I'm a little behind. I have finished 15 so far, and today's the 19th. But I did just check out a few more Nate the Great books from my local library, so those can offset the 700 and something page book that I am attempting to read this month as well. And so let me just tell you what I have finished so far, what I'm currently reading, and I will show you the middle grade books that I am planning to read for the rest of the month. So this will also be my middle grade May midpoint check-in as well. So let me go through my Goodreads and remind myself of everything I have finished so far. So I said in my May TBR that for this month I was going to be reading a combination of middle grade books, which would include some Sunshine State books. That list was announced at the end of April, and I have 6 or 7 of those checked out right now with a goal to read at least 5 of them during the month. I have started 2 of them. I'm over half done with one and a little ways into the other one, and some of them are written in verse. There's one that's a graphic novel, so I am still on track as far as I'm concerned to finish at least 5 of those by the end of this month. So I'll show you those. Then I had to read some book club books. So far I have read all of the book club books that I need to read, including one for next month. So I am caught up right now with book club books. I belong to 3 different book clubs now, so that does eat up a good bit of my reading time. And then I had 3 or 4 books carried over from the month of April into May, and I have finished all of those. So let me show you those first. So I finished the devotional book that I was reading for the last 40 days. It is called Wake Up Smiling by Audrey Meisner. This was good. Not my favorite devotional book that I've ever read, but definitely I would recommend it for someone who has done something in their life and they are having a hard time forgiving themselves for. It definitely is inspirational in that respect, and I thought it was very good. If you hear any tapping in the background, it's because my daughter Emily is in the room with me. She has had a lot of drop seizures lately, and her surgery is a week and a half away, and I'm trying to keep her out of the ER in between now and then. So I am sticking to her like glue, trying to make sure that she doesn't walk around anywhere without me or without her helmet. And lately she's been obsessed with tapping on everything, almost like a drummer. She taps on this, taps on that. I don't know if it's something sensory, but I have percussion in the background. All right, so 2 of the fiction books that I started in April and finished in May. I finished Murder in the Mist by Willard Scott and Bill Crider, so now I have finished this series. It's only a 2-book series. I enjoyed it. This one took place at a Civil War reenactment where someone was accidentally shot when it was supposed to just be blanks in the guns. So that was interesting, and I am glad now to check the series off my list. I finished The Christmas Remedy by Cindy Woodsmall and Erin Woodsmall. So this was a book I started during the Amish and April readathon, and I did not get it finished until early in May. Another book I carried over is a little book by Corrie called Don't Wrestle, Just Nestle. It was just a short little inspirational book. If you don't know anything about Corrie during World War II, she was held in a concentration camp for harboring Jews, and her life and her testimony and her work was just amazing, and she's written several books. I've read a couple of them, and I'm very interested to read more. And then I also read Sworn to Silence by Linda Castillo. This book I realized is a book club pick for my In Real Life Mystery Book Club for June, and had I realized it, I would have read it during the Amish and April readathon, but I forgot about it. And then when I heard Sarah talking about it in her wrap-up, I remembered it. So I went ahead and got this done, and I am glad that I did. It's pretty gritty, but it was a very interesting story, and I'm glad I read it. And then other books that I have read for book club, I read Big Little Lies by Liane Moriarty. This was also very interesting dynamic. Still too much foul language for me, but I'm glad now that I know what all the fuss is about. I do want to go ahead and watch the show. I have an old friend, an old coworker friend who is in the show. His character was created just for the show. It's not in the book, but that's okay. I still want to go back and watch it now. I have seen the first episode, so I know it gets a little racy, but you know, that's the nature of HBO. Anyway, I did get this almost done in time for book club. I had about 80 pages left, but there was also another person there who had not finished it. So they had agreed before I got there that they weren't going to do spoilers. I wasn't going to ask them to not spoil it, but it was nice that they didn't, and so I went right on and finished it the next day. Then another book I listened to for book club is Murder at the Mansion by Sheila Connolly. Sheila Connolly has several cozy mystery series, and I had not ever read anything by her, but this book is the first in the Victorian Village mystery series, and I thought it was very good. There were a couple people at our book club that didn't enjoy it, but they don't really like cozy mysteries that much anyway, so if you like cozy mysteries, I think you will enjoy this one. For my newest book club that's not affiliated with any library, I listened to Eve by William Paul Young. I wasn't a fan of The Shack by William Paul Young, and I'm not a fan of Eve either. And I tried to be open-minded about it, but I just had a hard time getting into the story. And once I got into it and understood what was going on, I just really wanted it to be over. I wanted to be done. So I don't really know why I didn't like it. Maybe I'm just too traditional, I don't know, but I wasn't a big fan of it. It is basically a fantasy creation story. Coming up for book club for next month is Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. So I have it checked out now on CD from the library. I probably won't listen to this during May because I want to focus on my middle grade books, but I went ahead and checked it out. I just need to have it read by the third week of June. So I've been gradually working on and toward my review books. I did finish the Writer's Apprentice series. Berkeley sent me book 4 in that series, so I listened to the first 3 on Hoopla Audio. Meanwhile, the 4th one came out on audio, and I listened to it as well and really enjoyed the series. So I have not started on either of the other books for Berkeley, and I have 2 review books for Waterbrook and Multnomah. So I have started now both of those. I read just a couple of chapters in both of these today. I really want to concentrate on middle grade books for this month, but these books were just burning a hole in my shelf, and I really wanted to start them. I haven't read enough to tell you about them yet, but I know that I'm going to enjoy both of them. Now, most of what I have left is middle grade books, but I also mentioned that I checked out some Nate the Great books. I have Nate the Great and the Lost List, and Nate the Great Goes Undercover. These I still need to read, but already this month I have read Nate the Great and The Pillowcase. I have read Nate the Great and The Big Sniff, and Nate the Great and The Tardy Tortoise. So those have helped keep me working towards my book a day in May, because I am also reading Inheritance by Christopher Paolini. In print, this is 850 pages. I'm listening to this on audio, though. I started out with a set of CDs from my library. I put it on hold on Overdrive, so I listened to the CDs until my Overdrive book came in, which now I can speed it up double time and get through the last 20 hours in 10 hours. So that's what I'm doing. I'm working towards this one, and so far I'm having a little harder time getting into this one than the last one. There's just a bunch of battles going on so far, and I'm not into the story quite as much as the earlier books, but hopefully that will change, and we'll just see how it goes. Then another middle grade book I listened to on audio is by Julie Berry, who wrote The Scandalous Sisterhood of Prickwillow Place, which was narrated by Jane Entwistle. And so when I saw this book was an Audible original, and it was by Julie Berry and narrated by Jane Entwistle, I couldn't resist downloading it. It's called Wishes and Wellingtons. It is a genie story, kind of an Aladdin story, but not exactly. And I thought it was delightful. I really enjoyed it. And if you like magical kind of stories about genies and you like middle grade books, then you should definitely check this out. It's on Audible. There may be a print version of it, but it was an Audible original, so for sure that is where you could pick it up. I started a series that I think I forgot to mention in my TBR, but this series has been on my radar for a little while. It's the Mother-Daughter Book Club by Heather Vogel Frederick. There are several in this series, and I think most of them are on Hoopla, on audio. So I have the first one checked out. So the first one has a Little Women theme, and then I believe the next one has an Anne of Green Gables theme. So each book is based on classic children's literature, as far as I can tell, and I think it's going to be a good series. I'm looking forward to it. So before I get into the Sunshine State books, I have a couple of other middle grade audiobooks checked out from the library. I have Kingdom Keepers Book 4 by Ridley Pearson called Power Play. This series takes place at Disney, so it's a lot of fun. And then I also have the third book in the Trials of the Apollo series by Rick Riordan. It's called The Burning Maze. And then Elizabeth Tyree was reading a book for middle grade May called Garvey's Choice by Nikki Grimes. And so I decided to check it out. It's very short and it's written in verse. She made it sound really good. I have not started it yet. I hope I can read it in one sitting, and I'll tell you about it after I finish reading it. Meanwhile, you can check out Elizabeth Tyree's channel and learn about this book from her. Okay, so here are the Sunshine State books that I have checked out right now. I have started Ivy Aberdeen's Letter to the World by Ashley Herring Blake. I'm about a little over half done with it. And I have also started Captain Superlative by J.S. Puller. I'm maybe a third of the way done with this one. I don't know, maybe not quite that much. The next one I'm probably going to pick up is Knockout by K.A. Holt. I did read the first book in this series called House Arrest, and I loved it. I thought it was great. I'll tell you more about both of these later. They are written in verse, and I thought the first one was fantastic. This second book is on our Sunshine State list for this year, and I don't think it's necessary to read the first one before this one, but I wanted to do that, and I'm glad I did. Then I also have The Adventurers Guild by Zach Lauren Clark and Nick Eliopoulos. I hope I said that right. Small Spaces by Catherine Arden. Breakout by Kate Meisner, and All's Fair in Middle School by Victoria Jameson. So these last several are on the Sunshine State list for next school year, and I hope to get all of those read over the summer. I am going to be writing book bowl questions and making a list of all the foods that the characters eat in the book, because that's what we feed the kids at book bowl, and it's just really a fun thing. If you've never heard me talk about it before, then I'll be talking more about it in the future, and I've talked about it in previous videos. So that's all I have right now for this mid-month check-in. Let me know if you are participating in middle grade May, and if any of these middle grade books sound good to you, or if you have read any of them, let me know. So that's all for this video. I hope you're having a great day. Read a good book, and God bless you.